Good afternoon, good evening to distinguished delegates, panelists, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Kindly allow me to introduce myself. I can see the bio there. I am Inam Ullah, work with ECA as an evaluation officer in their strategic planning and oversight division. On behalf of Ms. Vera Songaway, Executive Secretary UNECA, and Mr. Said, Director Strategic Division of Strategic Planning, Oversight and Results, it's my pleasure to welcome you all on this important side event. Mr. Said would have love to welcome you all, however, owed to some circumstances beyond our control, he wasn't able to make to this event. But he sends his best wishes to you all. Although both our executive secretary and the director are not with us, but they are really following with great interest the discussion which they consider to be central to the mandate and mission of ECA, UNICEF, and other UN bodies, which is to deliver ideas and actions for an empowered and transformed Africa, which is being informed by 2030 Agenda and Agenda 2063. First and foremost, let me thank you all from the deep of my heart for taking your time to attend this event. It's a testimony to you and to your country's commitment to VNRs, especially looking at the backdrop of this unprecedented human crisis. And we hope that we would get out of this very soon. This event is a result of a joint collaboration with and efforts of UNICEF and ECA. It's a partnership that dates back to 2018. And since then, we have so far implemented several activities aimed at supporting countries to embed evaluative evidence in voluntary national reviews. These activities were events at the sideline of AFRSD, Africa Forum for Sustainable Development, held in Morocco, and the recent one in Zimbabwe. And through technical support of CLEAR, both UNICEF and ECA have also conducted training for a number of states on VNRs. The last one was held in December 2019 in Addis Ababa, while other are planned for the future, and another one immediately following this event. Likewise, the member states, both UNICEF, ECA, and other members of the UN family appreciates the potential of VNR's pivotal role in our joint pursuit to achieve SDGs. The objective of this side event is to familiarize and further promote VNRs among the member states. We all agree that evaluation helps us to understand how progress is happening, for who, how, when, and why, and whether the progress is equitable, efficient, relevant, and sustainable. And there is no room that we as partners should fail. Through this side event, we seek both member states' increased and renewed commitments to undertake VNRs. This event will also serve as an opportunity to showcase other countries' achievement in conducting VNRs. It goes without saying that we all have much to learn from the countries that have undergone process of VNRs. This event will hopefully facilitate the sharing of experiences, including successes, challenges, and lessons learned. And it would be with a view to accelerate the implementation of the 2030 agenda. Quickly, I would like to make a reference to the SDG agenda, and I quote that it's a follow-up and review mechanism that encourages member states to conduct regular inclusive reviews of progress at the national and subnational levels, which are very importantly country-led and country-driven. VNRs is a key tool for accountability for the SDGs, both at the national and a global level. And it's a main mechanism for tracking progress on SDGs and its reporting. In the end, I would like to thank you all, including all colleagues from UNICEF, ECA, and partners, without whose relentless work and support, this would have never been possible. And as part of the UN family, both UNICEF and ECA remain at your disposal for providing support and advice. With this, I wish you all the best. Thank you very much, and we look at a very fruitful discussion in the hours ahead. I would like now to introduce Mr. George Larrier-Adigi, Director Evaluation, UNICEF, New York. George, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Una. And again, we note the constraints from your colleagues in Addis Ababa and their inability to join us. And we truly appreciate the partnership with UNECA on this journey. Good afternoon, colleagues online. I'm very happy to say a few words at the start of our dialogue today. As you all know, this event is being put together by three partners, UNICEF, UNECA, and our dear partner, UNITAR. We are looking at strengthening national evaluation capacity for the world that we all want. And within this broad frame, we are focusing on embedding evaluation in voluntary national reviews. On behalf of these three partners, I wish to warmly welcome you, and I can see that many colleagues have joined from all over the world. We appreciate the policymakers that have joined, the parliamentarians, civil society organizations, academics, evaluation associations, networks of partners from various disciplines. We appreciate having a strong panel to go the journey with us. The panel representatives come from 4 countries in Africa, and these are countries that, despite the challenges that we are all facing in the world, have truly embedded evidence, especially evaluation evidence, in their VNRs. And these VNRs are being presented at the high-level political forum that we are all part of this month. We will listen to their experiences and the challenges they faced and the opportunities that they've utilized to really have a broad-based approach towards generating evidence for their VNRs, including evaluation evidence. I'm particularly happy that two of our key partners, Clear Anglophone Africa and UNITAR, will also share their perspectives. UNICEF, the ECA in Africa, with the support of the African Union and Clear Anglophone Africa, have worked together for almost 3 years now to provide training and technical assistance in Africa, again with UNECA's support and the African Union's support to embed evaluation in VNRs. We also have a guide, and you see this on the screen now, a guide in 4 languages, covering all countries on the continent. Why is it important to embed evaluative evidence in VNRs? Well, it's because only with evidence is it possible to demonstrate that progress towards the SDGs is being made, and with an equity lens focusing on no one left behind. In UNICEF, we say no child left behind, but evidence that unpacks not only what progress is being made, but why progress is being made, and how much more progress can be made. And that is why we believe that evaluation comes in a strong way. Amidst the pandemic that we are all dealing with, the coronavirus pandemic, reporting on progress towards the SDGs based on evidence is even more relevant today than ever before. Evaluative thinking and evaluative evidence are integral to determining the nature of this progress towards the SDGs. And for this to happen in a systematic way, I wish to highlight 4 things. And I'm sure the panelists and other speakers who come in will reflect on these 4 things. The one, national reviews, national analysis, and national reporting on the SDGs is indeed a shared accountability. And I'm encouraging partners online today to work with us and with government, civil society organizations, other UN partners, to make this happen in a more systematic way and across all countries. This is a shared contribution. The second point I like to make is that there is need to advocate for multiple sources of evidence. Data is important. The data from program monitoring, data from national statistics, all these important, but we've learned with time that such data has not been enough to assess progress towards the achievement of the SDG targets. They're not enough to understand, especially the whys, the hows, and what else could be done. And hence we are putting on the table this shared arrangement for strongly bringing in evaluation evidence that can help do that. Number 3, evaluative evidence used in the VNRs should come from multiple sources. We see countries stuck because an evaluation is delayed. But again, and we'll hear from our colleagues from CLAIR and Anglophone Africa on this matter. There are various types of evaluations, including rapid evaluations, the opportunities to draw evidence from evaluative workshops, and several more. The guide that I talked about on the screen, developed by UNICEF and CLAIR Anglophone Africa, on how to embed evaluation in VNRs, provide a step-to-step guidance on the various types of work that can be done to strengthen the evidence in VNRs, and how to go about this. Lastly, evaluative evidence is important not only in VNRs, but in how governments work, as you all know, in preparing their plans to accelerate effort towards the SDGs, and in their own reporting internally to their parliaments and to their citizens, as the executive plans to do more work on this. And that is the power that good evidence brings to a journey that a country and all its partners are involved in, moving society from one place to the other according to the SDG targets. So in sum, time is passing fast in a rapid way. The world is dealing with various forms of complexity now. COVID is one of them. Mass migration, uncertainty in economies now. Economic growth is stagnated or is declined in most countries. we need to recover better, but we also need to recover in a fairer way. And we believe that with the right kind of evidence, as countries debate, as they adapt, and as they discuss as part of the HLPF process, we will be able to contribute to making sure that accountability in terms of their own systems remain right, prioritization is done, and that countries are able to demonstrate that they are indeed on the right path towards achieving the objectives of Agenda 2030. So with this, I'll pause and thank you again for joining us. And we are looking forward to a very engaging session. Over to you now, Ada and Thomas. Over to you, please.
Thank you very much, George. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our side event. I'm Thomas Rossmüller from the Partnerships Unit of UNICEF's Evaluation Office. I will quickly give you some information about today's event. First of all, the recording and the materials of this event will be shared widely with you and with UNICEF's channels. You will find it online in a few days. We will have English-French interpretation throughout the whole event. You can select in your bar, in your Zoom bar at the bottom of your screen, interpretation, and then choose the language you want to follow the event in. All attendees will be muted throughout the event. To engage in the Q&A session, please post your questions to the chat. That way the participants and the panelists will see your questions and will be able to respond to them. To do so, just click on the chat icon at the bottom of the screen and then type in your question. Make sure it says everybody, and everybody will be able to see your questions. Lastly, if you have any problems with Zoom, if you cannot hear or see anything, please make sure that your microphone is connected and your volume is up. If that doesn't work, please restart Zoom and reconnect to the meeting, or also update Zoom to the latest version and restart your computer. I will now give over to our moderator today, Ada Ocampo. She's a senior evaluation specialist at UNICEF, and she will moderate today's side event. Ada, over to you.
Thanks very much, Thomas. Colleagues, I also want to really warmly welcome you, colleagues from all over the world and from different, not only parts of the world, but from different organizations or capacities that you are here today. Today we have a very, how can I say, a very interesting panel that is made of representatives of countries that have attended the training on embedding evaluation in voluntary national reviews done by UNICEF and CLEAR AA in the past, and that at whole also have to receive some technical assistance during the preparation of the VNRs. The technical assistance has varied from country to country, and there is also one that has just work independently. So we want to hear these different experiences from them, and to hear from them how their experience was in terms of embedding evaluations in the voluntary national, how they are using that evidence or they plan to use the evidence, and why is that important. So without further ado, I would like to ask the first question, and I would like to start with our dear representative from Mozambique, Dr. Cristina Matuse. Dr. Cristina Matuse, welcome. I would like to ask you the first question of this afternoon, and your insights will be very much welcome. If you can keep your response to minutes, will be highly appreciated. So Voluntary national reviews are one of the most important tools for national SDGs reporting. However, various analyses done by organizations show that most of the VNRs have failed to include data and evidence from evaluation. In your opinion, and based on your country experience, why is it important to embed evidence in voluntary reviews and national SDG reporting? What difference it makes to embed evaluative evidence in voluntary national reviews? Thank you very much. Over to you. You have.
Thank you. Good afternoon for everyone. Starting on point, I can say that VNR process help us to learn and identify what needs to be done to accelerate or improve the programs. It has based on data and more recent evidence on what is working and then what is not working, and for whom and in what condition. This is the main issue. So we agree with the point raised. As country, we did so much effort in order to improve the evidence from our VNR. So we can say that the evidence in VNR helped us to set a baseline starting point, and then it helping us planning and managing the priority and public programs that contribute to the progress in SDGs. So in Mozambique, beside the official statistics, we think and then we agree that the consultation process that we have took it helped us to collect data and some reporting and the paper produced for get information in different priority areas. So evidence is a key issue to show the progress.
Okay, thank you very, very much. It was very interesting to see how you are already using the evidence and how you are incorporating it into planning and into priority making. I also know that you are also planning to do some concrete evaluation, and probably you can speak a little bit of that in the second round. Thank you very, very much. We have the honor to have with us Ambassador Sefirin Maniratanga with us. He is representing Burundi. And Burundi has also a very interesting experience of embedding evidence in voluntary national reviews. Ambassador, we would like to hear from you why important to embed evidence in voluntary national reviews. How did you make it happen in Burundi, and what difference it is making, or what difference do you think it will make? Thank you so much. You have 4 minutes.
Merci, Madame, pour votre question que je trouve pertinente. D'emblée, je dirais que l'objectif du programme à l'horizon 2030 est de créer le monde que nous voulons pour maintenant et pour l'avenir et de ne laisser personne derrière. Ainsi, l'une des grandes promesses des ODD est de ne laisser personne de côté, particulièrement les plus vulnérables, les plus pauvres, les femmes, les enfants, les vieux, les minorités ethniques, les handicapés. Répondre à cette promesse requiert que les données soient désagrégées en fonction de la situation géographique, du revenu, du genre, de l'âge et de la situation d'handicap. Le rapport national volontaire du Burundi est un premier outil de l'évaluation de la mise en œuvre des ODD au Burundi et se veut le résultat d'une consultation générale, inclusive et participative de toutes les parties prenantes des différentes couches de la société burundaise. Ce rapport manque de données désagrégées, à l'exception de certains secteurs comme l'éducation, ODD4, et la santé, ODD3, afin de pouvoir suivre et évaluer les progrès dans la mise en œuvre des ODD et l'atteinte des objectifs du Plan national de développement 2018-2027, il est important d'investir dans la production des données désagrégées. Par exemple, le gouvernement du Burundi a mis en place des mesures spécifiques de promotion de l'accès de la population aux services sociaux de base pour lesquels nous voulons mesurer l'impact réel comme l'impact de la gratuité des frais de scolarité du niveau école fondamentale de 9 années et de formation de base sur les cibles de l'ODD 4, la gratuité des soins de santé pour certaines catégories de personnes sur l'ODD 3, la protection sociale qui couvre l'ODD 1, l'ODD 2, l'ODD 3 et l'accroissement des budgets dans des secteurs de l'éducation et de la santé à plus de 30% du budget national. Bien que les ODD soient un ensemble, il est important de faire une évaluation cible par cible et selon les indicateurs nationaux existants afin de mesurer l'impact des progrès atteints et évaluer les progrès qui restent à faire année par année. Or, les données que nous collectons aujourd'hui ne nous permettent pas de tenir suffisamment compte des spécificités de chaque groupe parce que nous utilisons des moyennes. Si nous arrivons à avoir des données spécifiques pour les groupes les plus vulnérables, nous allons pouvoir mieux cibler nos ressources et mesurer les progrès. L'une des leçons importantes de la période des ODD est justement le fait qu'en nous considérant que des données agrégées, l'impression de faire des progrès dans l'ensemble se dégage alors que les disparités entre les plus pauvres et les autres augmentent. Les ODD seront suivis grâce à 232 indicateurs dont 97 nécessitent des données sur les familles et les individus. Pour ces données, il est excessivement important que nous ayons une représentation correcte de la situation de la société, incluant la situation des plus vulnérables. Conscient de cette nécessité, le Burundi fait actuellement un effort de localiser les ODD dans les communes et d'améliorer la production des statistiques désagrégées pour que la prochaine évaluation soit alimentée par des données désagrégées le plus possible. Merci.
Very much, Ambassador. This was very, very insightful. And you highlighted many important points. I would just like to focus on one that you said is that if we're using my own construction, of course, that if you want to assess the effects of the planning and strategies in terms of access to health, SDGs 3, education, 4, poverty reduction, SDG 1, etc., you need to understand the data that you are collecting. The data is not enough to tell about the specificities of the reasons behind the numbers and the specific different groups, disabled, marginalized, remote population accessing these services. So these were really, really a key important message. Your other message as well. Congratulations to Burundi for the efforts they are doing. I would like now to give the floor to our UNICEF representative in Liberia, who has been involved. UNICEF Liberia has been very much involved in supporting the government in their evidence-based VNR, and I would like her to explain you see, based on the experience of Liberia, that to embed evidence is important, what difference it makes. And your insights are very, very welcome, Laila. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Ada. Thank you for having me join this distinguished panel. Let me start by giving you a small anecdote on the importance of data. By 2030, Liberia will be 16 years short of 200 years of independence. Over these many years of independence, the oldest republic on the continent, Liberia has been able to conduct the census, the population census, only 4 times. So we do have an issue in Liberia about availability of timely data. However, working with partners, we have really use the opportunity of the Voluntary National Review process to invest significantly in including this data, in particularly disaggregated data and evidence in the process of developing the VNR. We wanted to invest significantly in looking at, as I mentioned, the disaggregated data, because it was about telling the story of the disparities in Liberia. Just as His Excellency Ambassador mentioned earlier, there is a world of difference between the situation in urban areas compared to rural areas, by income. So it was really an opportunity to use the data to give that picture, but also to use the opportunity of embedding some of the existing studies, evaluations, to go beyond measuring what the trends tell us, to more in-depth understanding of what are the factors of why a particular trend is occurring or not occurring. And for a policymaker, this is an essential element to understand why things work, why things don't work, to go beyond the trends. We also used this as an opportunity to understand what are some of the barriers to achieving some of the desired outcomes in the different, in Liberia's different strategies. And we also used it as an opportunity to build on to also highlight the importance of having a robust system of data, not only at the national level, but at the subnational level. What came out of the VNR is that there is still a lot of work that needs to be done in collection and analysis of data, particularly for the most vulnerable, and particularly as we look into the decade of action focusing on leaving no one behind, we find that there are many gaps in data for some of the most vulnerable groups, children, women, persons living with disability. So it was also an opportunity to draw some lessons for Liberia as we move forward. So, so in short, to recap, really it has been a fantastic opportunity with Liberia's first VNR to invest significantly in providing a lot of disaggregated data, to use evaluations and studies, and to build on that for an effective policy making process holding everybody, policymakers accountable. Over.
Thanks very much, Laila. Indeed, you touched a very important point. All countries have evaluations done by different organizations, by the government, assessment review, and you highlighted the importance of using that existing evidence also be able to embed in voluntary national reviews. And the other point among the values highlighted, I would like to I think you conveyed a very important message. Though countries are being gradually able to embed evidence in voluntary national reviews, still a work in progress. So based on the experience we are having, the extent we will be able to distill lessons will allow us to better evaluations for a clear purpose, for decision making, for decisions at the national level. Thank you very, very much. This was really interesting. I'd like now to give the floor to Dr. Zachary Lawal from Nigeria. Dr. Zachary Lawal is a partner, has been partnering with us for already 2 or 3 years. Nigeria is a country that has the first out that has started evaluations of the SDGs, and their experience has been showcased in various fora. Now, I would like you, Dr. Zachary, to ask you if you can focus on mainstreaming evidence in Nigeria's voluntary national review. How did you did it, and why is it important for Nigeria, and how it is being used, or how Nigeria plans to use this evidence? Thank you very much. You have 4 minutes.
Well, thank you very much, Ada, and thank you very much, for giving me the opportunity to share Nigeria's experience, on why we feel it is important to embed evaluations in the VNR and also, in our SDG reporting. Well, from our experience, in the production of VNR and reviews of VNR that were done, and by UNICEF, by UNECA, and by other, development partners, we realized that most VNR, tends to be reporting performance, on targets, which, just give you, a level of progress you have made, but not telling you the why and the how, and also not also providing the kind of disaggregated data that will ensure that the goal, of the SDGs, which is leaving no one is behind, is made available, so that an inclusive development, sustainable development, which the SDG is targeting at, is achieved. So going by that experience, we realized that it is important, to harvest the how and the why, and also to get a disaggregated information. And we realized that that can only come, through a robust, evaluation and multiple sources, as earlier, highlighted by Dr. George. So for Nigeria, one producing it is a VNR for 2020. It leverages, on harvesting and embarking, on synthesis of evaluation, especially, those around the SDG that the country intends to report. Nigeria, reported on about, 8 SDG goals, and it harvested various and several evaluations, that are aligned to those particular goals, so that we can see not only what has been achieved, but also the why and the how, and also observe the challenges and the recommendations that were highlighted in those evaluations. We harvested over 46 evaluations, and we also use a robust database from our national statistical systems to ensure that we have multiple sources of evidence. And again, going by that experience, we also feel it is critical to also make an in-depth evaluation of some SDGs. And that made Nigeria in collaboration with UNICEF, with the National SDG Office, and with the Office of the National Planning, to embark on an in-depth evaluation of Sustainable Development Goal 3, and which is health, and then that on education, so that a robust evidence can be produced. So basically, evaluation is really very critical. It is important for you to really guide your evaluation, your implementation, because for any VNR, for any implementation to be well articulated to achieve objectives, obviously it is not enough to just know where you are, but it is important to know the how and the why, and also who benefited. So basically, these are some of the reasons why we find the evaluation critical, and why the government of Nigeria put a lot of efforts and impetus in ensuring that evaluation is embedded and also is utilized to guide policies. And the intention of this VNR that is produced is really to see how we can mainstream the findings of this VNR in our policies going forward. So basically, these are some of the issues that we have observed and what we have done, and why we feel it is important that we should do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lawal. Actually, I'm excited myself to be listening how each panelist complement each other. So I would like to highlight one point that you made, I found that complements many other points, is the important to use not only evaluation, only data, but to make sure that recommendations for evaluations are actually implemented. And that implementation fits into national processes and national reporting processes as well, to see the why, the how, who is being behind in any, and to make correction actions. You mentioned evaluations, if properly used, are guides for implementation and for actions. So thank you very, very much. I would like to, yes, there are questions in the chat about related to challenges. That is exactly questions that I will ask panelists to speak, and this time you have a bit of less time, and I'm sure you understand that we have to give room for questions and answers. However, I would like to link some of the questions that we have already received to the second question. I would like to start with Laila. Laila, can you explain in 3 minutes the main challenge, you may wish to focus on only one or two, and opportunities that you see? You already received a question in the chat saying to what extent civil society's views are being incorporated in VNRs, and UNICEF is in a position to advocate for that. So is that a challenge? In some countries can be seen as an opportunity. So if you can highlight challenges and opportunities in 3 minutes, and possibly referring to this question as well. Thank you so much. You are muted, Laila. If you can please unmute.
Great. Thank you very much, Ada. And yes, there have been a number of challenges in the development of the Voluntary National Review report for Liberia. I will highlight a couple of them. First of all, there was a marked lack of baselines for the National Development Plan, the SDG indicators that could really serve as to support what kind of progress has been made on the SDG agenda. This situation was particularly marked, as I mentioned in my response to the first question, at the subnational level. The second area of weakness is related to the limited capacity, technical capacity, and the weak evaluation infrastructure in most of the government agency, which makes conducting evaluations using evidence from evaluations not done in a systematic way. The involvement of other partners, for example, civil society organizations, was also not limited, but actually civil society organizations, because they have an extensive presence throughout the country, may be a good source to draw on in generating important data, in monitoring, and eventually as partners in conducting surveys, studies that highlight the progress in the field. In terms of opportunities, I think that there has been also very clear indications that the government of Liberia is taking several initiatives to develop the evaluation system and strengthen the national evaluation capacity. But I think in the context of developing this VNR report, I would like to highlight what I see as one of the major opportunities that has been taken, and that is it was used to, the findings, that report is going to be used to refine, reprioritize the National Development Plan, the Pro-Poor Agenda for Prosperity and Development, because it was an overly ambitious plan, and the opportunity of doing this VNR report has served to highlight what are some of the key priorities, including prioritizing some of the SDGs that particularly affect some of the most vulnerable populations, children, women, but also it has provided an impetus to strengthen the enabling environment, recognizing the importance of allocating more resources to skilled personnel and the evaluation infrastructure in the country. I hope that answers the question.
Thanks very much, Laila. I think you specified very well the connection between not only challenges, but the connection between opportunities and actual use and actual effects, changes of the VNR. So that gives us a lot of hope. I would like now to give the floor to Ambassador Seferin Maniratanga and ask him about, briefly explain the challenges and opportunities that Burundi face. You actually also have a question related to the participation of civil society and other actors. If you can share a little bit to you and how that voices could actually help
Merci,
make an
Madame, pour
report.
la question concernant les défis et les opportunités. Par rapport aux défis, je dirais que le défi majeur pour le Burundi, comme pour d'autres pays, reste la faible institutionnalisation et faible utilisation de l'évaluation comme démarche systématique au sein des institutions publiques. De plus, le terme évaluation est souvent mal compris, faute de connaissances suffisantes. Ainsi, la place de l'évaluation dans le système de modernisation ou d'efficacité des politiques publiques devrait être renforcée à travers notamment un dispositif institutionnel et juridique permettant son intégration dans le processus des politiques publiques. D'autres défis sont également d'autres défis à lever sont également comme la disponibilité des données pertinentes, globales et désagrégées, constamment actualisées pour refléter les réalités du moment. La mobilisation des financements tant internes qu'extérieurs et l'adaptation au changement climatique et respect scrupuleux des normes environnementales internationales. À propos des opportunités, quel que soit le domaine considéré, l'action multilatérale, tout comme l'évaluation, s'impose. L'évaluation permet, entre autres, de rendre compte sur la valeur d'une politique publique ou un programme au regard d'un certain nombre de critères tels que la pertinence, l'efficacité, l'efficience, la capacité à répondre aux besoins. Quant à l'action multilatérale, il faudrait noter que c'est une nécessité car ce n'est qu'en travaillant ensemble que les États parviendront à trouver des remèdes contre la pauvreté, les inégalités, les changements climatiques considérés comme les plus grands défis de notre époque. C'est pourquoi le Burundi se réjouit du partenariat et de la collaboration fructueuse avec les agences du système des Nations Unies en général et l'OPNUD et l'UNICEF en particulier dans l'élaboration du rapport national volontaire. Il se réjouit également de son système de collecte de données statistiques qui fonctionne bien et qui son système qui fonctionne bien et qui est la base pour la conduite des évaluations. Le rapport volontaire national est une opportunité de partager les leçons apprises et les expériences des autres pour les exploiter et essayer d'en profiter au maximum. Les Nations Unies ont lancé la décennie d'action pour les ODD. Nous devons construire sur ce momentum. Au Burundi, nous venons de réussir les élections paisibles et démocratiques complètement financées par les ressources de l'État. Le nouveau président de la République et son gouvernement se sont déjà engagés à renforcer les actions qui devront accélérer les progrès vers les ODD et le plan national de développement. Pour y arriver, nous allons renforcer notre système de gestion axé sur les résultats à travers une définition claire des résultats devant être atteints par les programmes, une mise en œuvre des programmes ou services, un suivi et une évaluation des performances et une application des ajustements nécessaires en vue d'améliorer tant l'efficacité que l'efficience à tous les niveaux. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very, very much. Well, that was very, very interesting. I would like just now to give the Dr. Zachary Lawal to tell us about the challenges and opportunities If may I ask you two things, if you may be brief, we are running out of time, and if you can probably address the participation of civil society in this process. Thank you so much. Please unmute yourself.
Well, thank you, Ada. The formulation of the VNR, has really been robust, in terms of engagement of stakeholders, particularly, with regards, to the CSO that you have mentioned. The CSOs, have been involved, right, from the VNR, planning to the VNR, the Voluntary National Review, process, at all stages. In fact, in Nigeria, I know there is even, a group, a civil society group that is established to particularly, engage, with the National SDG office to ensure that CSOs, are carried along, in all the process, of the SDG planning, implementation, and reporting. So that is basically what has been done. And, we really found it, very successful. And it has really, enhanced the ownership, of the VNR, and the SDG implementation in Nigeria. And particularly, the activities, of the National Association of Evaluators, which is also an umbrella, of organization, for monitoring evaluation professionals, in Nigeria, has also been strengthened and actively engaged to ensure that the culture, of supporting, and developing of evaluation, is entrenched, to support policy and decision making in Nigeria. So obviously, in all stages, of the process, civil society, have been engaged. In fact, as I said, there is already an established group of civil society organization with a structured leadership that constantly, engaged the SDG, the National SDG Implementation Office of Nigeria, to ensure that there is active participation and engagement. Thank you.
Very much, Dr. Lawal. And now it's time for Dr. Cristina to tell us very briefly about the challenges and opportunities, and if you can link to a question that we already have in the, if it was it a challenge or is it an opportunity to ensure the national evaluation statistical systems are aligned in a way that allow to embed evaluative evidence in voluntary national reviews. Thank you so much. Obrigada. Over to you.
Thank you. Going straight to the challenge, the VNR process was a challenge. Why? Because to review, we need the indicators and we need the information. So following the issue of SDGs, we have not yet did or defined our global, our national framework of indicators. So it was a challenge, but at the same time was opportunity, because with the VNR process, we have stretched our efforts in order to define our national frameworks on SDG indicators, trying to see how the global indicators from SDGs are reflected in our national statistics. So this was a challenge, but was opportunity. The other challenge is disaggregated information. So we see that we have information here from our statistics, but the information is not disaggregated enough to get all deep evidence from the different groups. The other challenge is that whereas Mr. Zephyrin have told about the evaluation, the demand evaluation from our sector's ministers. So we have administrative information, but in terms of evaluation of that, the progress or the trends of the information, and somehow there's some challenge when you try to see how it's reflected or how it's complemented by the official statistics from the surveys. We did a lot of job with the participation of civil society, have been engaged a lot. How they have run out a survey, qualitative survey from the grassroots level in order to complement the quantitative information that was getting in terms of trends of indicators. So we have saw that with this process, from statistics evidence, we see that we are progressing, or we have progress in some SDGs, like SDG 3, 4, 5, but we still have challenge. And then the survey, the rapid evaluation from civil society have shown in qualitative ways that those progress reflected in statistics, quantitative statistics, are real, because in terms of service provided, the civil society or the population, the grassroots, they can confirm that yes, the services are there, but they are still challenged. Is a challenge to the capacity, technical capacity for monitoring, evaluation, and systematic evidence process. So in that way, we are in the process with a Clear Brazil to engage with them in a project where we are defining the way how we can define the partnership to strengthen our national capacity for monitoring and evaluation, looking for the statistics evidence and the policy and programs evidence. So for us, we can say that the VNR was an opportunity to see together as government and civil society in which stage we are in terms of SDG progress and what challenge we're still having in terms of going forward in order to improve our national programs. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Cristina. I think that we have already dealing with many questions from the panel, still some questions to go. But I know that you not only highlighted the common trend, is not only highlighted that there are some challenges, but also opportunities, and this is work in progress, and it needs the involvement of various actors. I would like now to give the floor to Elena Proden from our partner, and to ask her, Elena, based on your experience and your position working with various countries globally, to what extent the use of data and evaluation are important for the VNR processes, and why they're important. What are your views, general views on this important, very, very important topic? Thank you so much. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Ada. And first, let me say that it's a great pleasure and honor for me to be part of this distinguished panel. And also UNITAR is very happy to be collaborating with UNICEF and Economic Commission for Africa on this side event. I will come a little bit from a different but complementary perspective indeed. And I think, as was very well said by Director Larry Adjei, data in itself in themselves are not enough to understand the whys, the hows, and the what else. But data are indeed an essential foundation, quality data, timely data for informing and serving also the purpose of the evaluations, decision making, etc. So I would probably just like to say a few words in terms of the perspective related to strengthening data capacities and how these can also support the embedding of evidence, but also evaluative evidence in the voluntary national reviews and also national SDG reporting. UNITAR has been supporting UN member states in strengthening their review, monitoring and evaluation systems and SDG reporting through a number of regional and national capacity building and training initiatives, activities. In the African region, we've been working actively in the African region, but also Caribbean and Asia Pacific. Also, we worked a lot with small island developing states. And I just want to share a few lessons that we've learned during this time working with the countries. One of them, very important, is that improved data governance, coordination and partnerships are instrumental to national SDG monitoring. Overall, of course, we know that data user, data producer dialogue is essential in making sure that the data that are being collected meet the policy needs. And national statistical offices have an important role, they play an important role in coordinating also data production and providing methodological guidance to other parts of national statistical systems. So working with data producers, but working with data users, user engagement is equally important. And we've heard also from some of the national statistical offices that they started changing also the ways they, the processes in the ways they engage on certain issues to ensure the relevance of the data that are being collected. For example, they would start like a more in-depth discussion with the line ministries when new questions are being proposed for National Household Service to understand exactly where the policy need is and then to ensure the methodological guidance, the methodological soundness in the process. And quite often the focus is being placed on policymakers, but there is also much more that can be done in terms of integrating feedback, in terms of what data would be relevant also from the evaluation communities, from the evaluators, to ensure that the data that are being collected relevant, that we talked a lot, we heard a lot about the importance of disaggregated data to understand better the situation of various vulnerable populations. So also these type of feedback would be very important. Also to ensure that the data that are being collected can help evaluate not only the effectiveness, efficiency and sustainability of public policies and programs, but they are also serving the purpose of then helping to evaluate how these programs are contributing to policy coherence and to ensuring that no one is left behind. And we've also seen that data user, data producer dialogue was instrumental in ensuring that there are countries can actually develop homegrown national SDG indicator frameworks. We just heard also from the speaker from Mozambique who talked about this, the challenge also of formulating the national SDG indicator framework. And particularly for countries with limited financial and human resource capacities, it's an important challenge. And also this data user, data producer dialogue is helpful in really helping to focus on what is nationally relevant and what corresponds also to the national development planning priorities and SDG priorities. And then finally, it's also data coordination and partnerships can be very helpful in addressing some of the most urgent data gaps. What we've seen, for example, sometimes data may exist, but it may be in a different department, or it may be somewhere, for example, it may be produced by civil society organizations, as we've just heard right now. And these type of partnerships, brokering these partnerships is very important in making sure that data can be made available pretty fast. And then also finally, sometimes it's possible to find non-expensive ways of ensuring data become available through these dialogue and partnerships. And just very briefly, two other lessons that we've learned. One was related to strengthening data analysis capacities. We've heard from a number of countries that that's sort of a challenge, but also the challenge that countries would like to address, because it can also help support the evaluation of public policies and programs, and also make sure that, for example, impact assessment can benefit from robust quantitative inputs in addition to the qualitative inputs. And finally, the last theme that is quite important, it's strengthening statistical literacy in general to really ensure that the data can be used by decision makers more effectively, but also strengthening statistical literacy of media representatives and all citizens at large is very important to enable them to not only to be able to assess the data they plan to use on fitness for purpose, but also to communicate effectively and accurately, to basically interpret data correctly as well, and also use it more effectively in programming and decision making. I would just like to conclude my presentation by showing you a number of tools, and I would be grateful if Thomas, you could help me to put this up. A number of tools that we developed working with various partners from UN system, but also outside. You can see that here, for example, there is a static data planning tool. It's a very helpful tool in enabling basically when you want to convene a multi-stakeholder group to address a specific data gap. That's the tool that could be also actually very helpful for you in this process. Then another important tool is we worked with more than 50 partners from UN system and outside on developing a gateway, and there is a specific statistics entry with the UN Statistics Division curating it on behalf of the Global Network of Statistical Training Institutes. And finally, you can see here also several free online courses that you could use also working in your communities to strengthen data governance and also statistical literacy in general, with very specific examples from various SDG areas. And we developed these tools with the support of a number of countries such as Switzerland, Sweden, and Italy. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Elena. Participants are already commented how insightful and useful your comments were. And I would like you to, especially for linking your comments to what panelists have said, and also to questions that have been posed in the chat. Thank you very, very much. I will now give the floor to Ian Goldman from Clear Anglophone Africa. Clear Anglophone, as it has been mentioned before, is our partner and has been instrumental player in supporting countries in embedding evaluation in voluntary national review, and will put some key messages into perspective and summarize also some of them. Ian, thank you very much. Over to you, please. It seems you're muted.
Yes, I'm just unmuted. Hello, everybody. It's very nice to be part of this event. Thomas, I've just sent the presentation, but I'll start talking anyway. So in terms of why is it important to embed evaluative evidence? I think we had a clear summary from several people demonstrating progress in country programs and the nature of this progress, to go beyond trends to explain what is working or not working, for who, in what context, to explain why progress is being made and give a more in-depth picture, to understand the barriers and facilitators of progress, and to recommend how progress can be accelerated, above all for the vulnerable, and to use this to inform national plans. And the point is that without evaluation, we just have data which says trends. If we need evaluation, if we're going to go beyond it to understand why and what needs to be done. And second, then in terms of the challenges.
May I interrupt you? May I interrupt you? It seems that you didn't send the PowerPoint to Thomas. If you can click and make sure you to resend.
Please resend, Ian, or share it from your screen. Thank you.
Okay, so can you see the PowerPoint?
Yes, if you can put it in a slideshow.
Yeah. So this slide I've already been through. Demonstrate progress, what is working, explain why, barriers and facilitators, and to recommend how progress can be accelerated. And then in terms of challenges, one of the challenges people talked about was adequate involvement of all sectors of society, and there's an opportunity there too. And then the second one is that about many countries don't have well-established evaluation and data systems, and people mentioned the lack of baselines, the technical capacity for M&E, monitoring is often weak and data is not disaggregated, evaluation is not institutionalized in policy processes, SDG indicators and targets are not yet domesticated, and the data is often held in silos. So I think what the opportunities that emerge are to inform national planning and to use the VNR process not as a separate process, but as part of, first of all, domesticating the indicators and incorporating them into national plans, and then using the VNR process to help report on that, and to contribute to making evaluation, reporting and accountability more systematic within the executive, to parliament, to citizens, and on the SDGs. And the last point which came up from Elena was to strengthen data governance. And in terms of how, I think some of the issues that came up were about using effectively the consultation across society. For example, the qualitative data from civil society in Mozambique, strengthening an evaluation capacity using a variety of partners, Twendembele, CLEAR's working with 10 countries in Africa, for example, CLEAR Anglophones, UNICEF, UNITAR, etc. The need to strengthen statistical literacy was mentioned, but it's actually much wider than that. It's not just statistical, it's how to use evidence and how to collect evidence, generate and use evidence in policy processes. There's also an opportunity to use existing evaluations, and Nigeria, Zakaria mentioned the 46 evaluations which were used as part of the 2020 VNR in Nigeria. Uganda did a survey and found they had 500 evaluations that they could use. So there's a lot of existing evidence that can be used. And there's also opportunities to use rapid methods, rapid evaluations, and I've just done a guideline on rapid evaluations through CLEAR and Twendembele. There's evaluative workshops, and the guide that Thomas showed early on has got details of some of these methods that can be used. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Ian. I think that was fantastic, and you did it in real time. Excellent, smart as usual. I shouldn't be surprised, but I'm still are. One main reason why I didn't go around to ask you for the main key message, there is a reason for that. And the reason is that we have a few questions still left because we were linking still left in the chat that I think will allow you to convey your message. And the question is, what motivates countries to volunteer to present VNRs? They don't have the obligation. What motivates them to motivate your countries to present the VNR? And I will link you to a second question that says, what kind of support you got from different UN organizations like UNICEF, UNITAR, etc., or from CLEAR, or from other evaluation networks, what we call BOPE AFREA, National Evaluation Association, etc. I would like that at least two panelists answer that question. Why presenting if it is voluntary, and what other support you get? Who would like to start? Just unmute yourself and speak if you would like the panelists to respond to that. If may I volunteer you? May I volunteer Laila to go with that?
Thank you. Thank you, Ada, and truly thank you very much, Elena, for the insights, and Ian for a fantastic summarization of the main points that were raised. On why Liberia is interested in what motivated Liberia to be part of the VNR. I think that given that the bell is ringing basically on in relation to 2030, countries are beginning to realize that they really must be able to prioritize what are the national development priorities that they need to invest in to achieve the SDG agenda. And while recognizing, when I talk about Liberia, a country that is resource limited, a country that recognizes that it is not likely going to meet most of the SDG goals, we also see that there are some bright spots. And recently, with the Economic Commission on Africa, a rapid assessment was conducted on the legal identity agenda that highlighted that even with Liberia's limited resources, it has achieved remarkable progress on birth registration over a relatively short period of time. So countries are increasingly looking, countries like Liberia that have resource limitations, that also what is the data, what are the evaluations, what are the studies telling us that we need to invest in as a few key priorities in order to achieve the goals. So that is my contribution to the first question. For the second question, what kind of support can be provided? I think that sitting around this panel already, not only from Economic Commission for Africa, UNITAR, UNICEF, investing in capacity. And this investing in capacity and understanding data, in not only generating data, but in the analysis, and also to demystify to many government bodies the evaluation function and the importance of investing in quality data, in quality studies and surveys for achieving the results that we want. So this is my humble contribution, and but it's really about seeing this as an opportunity to prioritize. Over on my side.
Thank you very much, Laila. Dr. Cristina, you already mentioned the second question. You mentioned that you are obtaining support from UNICEF, Lusophone, African, Brazil, etc. So can you just focus briefly? What motivates Mozambique to prepare a VNR? What is the motivation? Thank you, over.
Thank you, Oda. What motivates Mozambique is that we have integrated our SDG, the Agenda 2030, to our 5-year national program. So we had the first 5-year ended. So we think that it was time to share with our parts what was our progress under the SDG. The other reason, it was to see where we are in terms of the implementation of Agenda 2030. So what our progress, what our challenges. So those was the main motivation. We get support, yes, during our VNR process. The UNDP was the main partner supporting us in all technical, in financing, in all VNR process. But we get support through other partners because they was commenting our drafting document. Specific with CLIA, we get our first draft was commented by CLIA Brazil, and then he was raised the issue of evidence, the issue of data disaggregation. We try to improve in the last version, but it's still a challenge because we don't have so much data disaggregated. So in few words, I can say that starting EL, the preparation of the VNR process could provide a great opportunity for diagnosis and then for progress towards the SDGs. So the data, it's critical in this process. So we think that if we could have a repository where all studies, evaluation that was conducted by partners, government, academia can be put together, it will be easy maybe to start in that point, checking all the information that we have and then defining what we need to do more additional to complement what we already have in terms of the information. And then the issue of long-term evidence.
I think we're running out of time.
Okay, so I think
it's very much, but
yeah, thank you.
I think we are running out of time, so I would like just to give 1 minute or less to the remaining place to convey a main message to the audience. Let's start with Ambassador Seth. If you can take just 1 minute or less to convey a message to the audience, please, you, related, of course, to evidence-based VNRs. Thank you.
Bon, d'abord, pour revenir à la question qui m'a été posée, le processus d'élaboration du rapport a été inclusif, incluant la société civile, les femmes, les associations, aussi bien le monde rural que le monde urbain. Alors, par rapport au message, j'ai 3 messages rapidement. À moins de 10 ans, et même s'il y a pléthore d'actions lancées par les gouvernements et autres parties prenantes, les progrès dans de nombreux ODD sont très lents, malheureusement. La communauté internationale pourrait ne pas remplir son obligation de réaliser les ODD dans les délais impartis. Il est impératif, je dis bien il est impératif, d'agir maintenant avec un engagement renouvelé et un rythme d'action accéléré, vigoureuse, plus que rapide, pour permettre une transformation collective et mettre le monde sur la trajectoire qui aboutira à la réalisation des ODD. Les attentes sont grandes, mais on peut trouver les solutions et atteindre les ODD d'ici 2030. Deuxième message, il est primordial d'investir dans les systèmes statistiques nationaux afin de s'assurer que la production des statistiques réponde non seulement aux normes et standards de qualité internationale, mais aussi constitue une base solide de l'évaluation de la mise en œuvre des ODD d'ici 2030. Sans les données désagrégées, sans un système de suivi rigoureux, l'évaluation de la mise en œuvre des ODD ne sera possible. Troisième message, chaque pays a un message de bonnes leçons acquises à partager. Pour une évaluation, les données quantitatives, même désagrégées, ne suffisent pas. il faut partager les analyses qualitatives ressorties des consultations avec les groupes spécifiques, les gens qui vivent avec un handicap, les personnes vulnérables, les représentants des communautés qui nous ont donné des leçons durant les consultations sur leur façon de vivre et de ce qu'ils attendent des États ou de l'administration locale. Plus de respect et de dignité et non une aide de matériel continue. Je vous remercie.
Very important messages, Ambassador. Thank you very much. I will just like to recommend to participants that we announced at the beginning, we will be sharing the recording and the materials a few days after this event. Widely, no one will be left behind. Dr. Zachary, if you can just convey, sorry, but we're running out of time. We have already one message that we would like to convey to the audience. I will be grateful. And then immediately, George, after Dr. Zachary, if you can take the floor to close the event, please.
Well, thank you very much. Well, one key message, I want to flag, of on the relevance, of the VNR is that countries should consider it as an investment rather than a cost. It is an investment because one, it creates, learning, about what is working for the country and what is not. It enhances, political visibility and buy-in, especially by high policy makers. And it also, engenders, collective ownership, of the SDG implementation. Because in the process, you bring all stakeholders around the table, you work together, and in the end, that engenders, that collective ownership of all key stakeholders that, yes, we are working on the same program and we are moving in a common direction. And we agree, and disagree on the key issues, around the SDG implementation. That is the one key message, I just want to pass in, that the VNR process is very, very critical and very important. Thank you.
Thank you, colleagues. Our time is up. Every good thing comes to an end. And I'd like to thank you all for joining us. It's been a good discussion, and briefly to say that some of the issues raised, it's possible that if we pool our efforts together, we can start addressing them now. I'd like to single out a couple of them. One is the issue of technical capacity. There's some players online now. If we pull our hands together, we can assist countries. Ourselves in UNICEF, we know UNITAR is online. We know UNECA is online. We know Claire and Global Africa. Ian, you've been with us on a journey. There's already a solid program that these colleagues are working on, homegrown in Africa for those interested in very homegrown material. And if you want to take advantage of it, please contact my colleague Ada Ocampo. It's something that we can do quickly. Another thing that we can do quickly, and Madam Christina, your point about a knowledge repository that gives information of what already exists. It can be done quickly, and in fact, I think again, if we put our efforts together, we can contribute to it. So greater networking, information sharing is going to help us learn from each other as we march forward to achieve the 2030 agenda. So to conclude by thanking everyone, our colleagues who joined and spent their time with us, and to thank you sincerely, His Excellency Ambassador Seferin, for spending the time with us. To thank you, Madam Christina Matuse. I know it is nice for you. And my own colleague and sister, Leila Gad, it's good to see you again, and thanks for the contribution. Emma Brother Lawal, Dr. Lawal, thanks for the good work. Keep at it. And thanks to Elena for sharing the deep insights. And for Ian, you are holding hands with this in this journey, and we look forward to more work. So Unam, again, thank you for being with us, and a warm regards to all colleagues. To thank Ada sincerely for holding this, and behind Thomas as well. So have a good afternoon, and I'm sure Ada will give information about how the information that we've all heard is going to be shared widely, and we look forward to following up with some of you, so that next year by this time, inshallah, as we say on the continent, inshallah, we shall have an even better story to tell about our progress to leave no one behind. Thank you very much.